Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Stephanie, otherwise known as AstroKnotty, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet this easy hooded pocket scarf. So in this tutorial, I made two versions using different weights of yarn and hook sizes. Here's my chunkier and wider shawl version with some kitten ears, and here's my thinner version with some pom-pom ears. So before starting, just know that this scarf is made to measure, and you're welcome to customize it as you see fit to your own personal preference. On the next screen, I will have a recommended size guide and materials chart, so don't worry about that. You can use any weight yarn and hook size as long as you create it to your desired width and length, but just know that the thinner your scarf is, the smaller and less functional your pockets will be. So real quick, for my chunkier version, I used a 6.5mm hook and about a skein and a half of this weight 5 Premier puzzle yarn, so about 300 grams. You'll definitely need a measuring tape and a tapestry needle if you plan on adding ears and sewing your pockets on. So this is my chunkier version today. It's at least 8 or 9 inches wide, which is what I recommend for functional pockets. Now everybody should make their scarves as tall as they are, so about 65 to 75 inches long. This is because when you fold the scarf in half, it'll sit on or below your hip area. And for the sake of this tutorial, I wanted to show you guys what it would look like using worsted weight 4 yarn. I used about 200 grams of this big twist rave yarn with a 5.5mm hook. But ultimately, you can use any weight yarn and hook size that you'd like. These scarves are all going to turn out the same. But I will say I preferred using the chunkier version, not only because my project went by quickly, but also because it was, cozier and warmer. So feel free to use a chunkier yarn as well with a larger hook. So I used about a 6.5 with that. And let's get started. We're going to start by creating our long rectangle panel for the base of our scarf. We're just going to repeat granny cluster rows until our width and length measurements are made. Go ahead and start with a loose chain that matches your width measurements. Make sure that this chain is in multiples of 3, and this is important. So 3, 6, 9, 12. Just make sure your chain is divisible by 3, and make it as wide as you want your scarf to be. So today I'm just going for a quick thin version, so mine's about 4 or 5 inches wide. But like I said, if you want functional pockets, I do recommend a longer starting chain. Go ahead and chain an additional 4, and this will count as your first double crochet. In the 4th chain from the hook, you're going to insert another double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull through. You now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 2. Yarn over, pull through the last 2. Now you have 2 double crochet in that same stitch. Go ahead and insert 1 more double crochet into the same stitch to complete our first cluster. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And so our first cluster is done, and a cluster is equal to 3 double crochet. You're going to skip 2 chains, and in the 3rd chain, insert 3 double crochet. So in that same chain, insert 2 more double crochet stitches. Okay, now we're going to skip 2 more chains, and in the 3rd chain, insert a cluster. So the chains look like these V stitches here. Skip 2, and in the 3rd, insert a cluster. And for those who do prefer a written pattern, I do have that link below as well. But you're going to skip 2 more chains, and in the 3rd, insert another cluster. And we're going to repeat this all the way down to the end of our starting chain by skipping 2 chains and inserting 3 double crochet in the next. Now, if your starting chain was correct, you should end up skipping 2 chains and in the last chain inserting 3 double crochet. This is why it was so important to have a chain that was in multiples of 3. So in that last chain, insert 3 double crochet. And our first row is complete. Maybe I didn't use the best yarn today to show y'all, but our first cluster row is complete, and we're now going to start row 2. So you're going to chain 3 and turn your work. In this next space between clusters, you're going to insert 3 double crochet. So you're going to have to skip over, and in that space, insert 3 double crochet. So even if you have to pull your clusters apart to get into that space, go ahead and do that. And then one more into that same space. Now you're going to skip to the next space between clusters and insert 3 double crochet. So right between those 2 clusters, insert 3 DC. And again, skip to the next space between clusters and insert 3 double crochet. And again, you're just going to repeat that until the end of your own row. Now, once you get to the end, you need to insert 1 double crochet into the last stitch to match the beginning of our row. This helps square off our rectangle panel. So right in that last stitch, it should be even a chain 3. So at the top of that chain 3, insert 1 double crochet. And like I said, this helps square off our rows. And this is what it should look like. You may have fewer or more stitches than me, but ideally you'll have clusters with just 1 double crochet on the ends. So for row 3, you're going to chain 3, turn your work. Now in that same space, you're going to insert 2 double crochet. And that's going to complete our first cluster. Now in the next space between clusters, insert 3 double crochet. And go ahead and repeat this all the way down with 3 double crochet in each space. We're basically mimicking our first row. So 3 double crochet in each space until the end. And if I am moving too fast for you, you are able to slow down the video in the settings on your bottom right corner, I believe. But once you get to the end, right in this space where that double crochet is, we're going to insert 3 double crochet. And our odd rows will have the same cluster counts, and our even rows will have the same cluster counts. So that's how you know you're on the right track. But to start row 4, we're basically going to repeat row 2. So chain 3, turn your work, skip to the next space between clusters, and insert 3 double crochet. Now you're going to insert 3 double crochet in each space until the end. And once you get to the end, you're going to just put a double crochet in the last stitch. So I'm going to finish this row with you guys on camera. But hopefully you get the hang of it, that it's just alternating rows 1 and 2. So here's my last cluster. And at the end of this row, at the top of that chain 3, you're just going to put 1 double crochet. So sometimes it's a little tricky to see. But right in the top of that chain 3, you're going to put 1 double crochet. And that's it. We're just going to repeat these rows until you get your desired length. Like I said, the odd rows will have the same cluster counts and the even rows will have the same cluster counts. And you'll just alternate them back and forth. I do recommend making your length for your scarf as tall as you are, or whoever you're making the scarf for, child, adult, because when the scarf is folded in half, it will reach your hip area. But you are welcome to make a shorter scarf as well. I'm going to go ahead and work a couple of rows off camera. And if you need to rewind for the instructions again, you are welcome to. But it really is as easy as repeating these cluster rows and squaring them off. And feel free to change your colors as much as you'd like. This does look good as a striped scarf or a scrappy one as well. So just have fun with this project, and I will meet you when I reach my desired length. So here I've completed, I don't even know how many rows, but it does measure about 65 inches, and so far I've only used about a skein of this Big Twist Rave yarn. Now, you can keep your scarf as is and skip to the end of the video for some pockets and fringe, or you can stay tuned for how to add a hood. We're going to crochet the hood directly from the scarf. Go ahead and fold your scarf in half and measure 12 inches from that middle point and insert a stitch marker. I do find that average adult hood dimensions are 25 inches wide by 12 to 15 inches high. So that's why we are measuring 12 inches from the left and right of the middle of our scarf. Now yarn does stretch, so make sure that you count your clusters to make sure both sides have the exact same count from the middle of your scarf. And here I have 24 inches measured. So to start your hood, make sure you are working in a chain 3 space, not a cluster space, a chain 3 space. You're going to chain 3, insert 2 more double crochet into that same space. This counts as our first cluster. We're going to skip over to this next space and insert 3 double crochet. And we're going to repeat this all the way down to our next stitch marker with 3 double crochet in each of these spaces. And once you get to the end, just insert 3 double crochet into that last space. And we're pretty much going to do what we did for the body of our scarf. We're going to repeat rows 1 and 2, just like we did before for our hood. So for row 2, you're going to chain 3, turn your work, and I apologize now for using black yarn. It's kind of hard to see, but it's the same idea as before. So you're going to insert 3 double crochet into that space between clusters. Three double crochet in each of the remaining spaces down to the end. And just like we did before, once we get to the end, we're going to leave a double crochet in the last stitch, and this will help square off our hood. So I will meet you at the end, but put a cluster in each available space until you get to the end of row 2. And once at the end, I have one more space to fill, putting 3 double crochets in there. And in the last stitch, I'm going to insert 1 double crochet. So right at the top of this chain 3, 1 double crochet. Okay. And really, it is that easy. You're just going to repeat these rows, alternating them until you reach the height of your hood, which should be at least 12 inches high. So for row 3, chain 3, turn your work. You're going to insert 2 more double crochet into that space so we can complete our first cluster. And then 3 double crochet in each space down to the end. And then in that last space, just insert 3 double crochet to square it off. Okay, and that's it. I'm gonna continue repeating and alternating these rows until I get to about 12 inches high for my hood. The taller you make your hood, the more oversized it will be. So I'd be careful not making it too tall, otherwise it'll kind of warp out from the side of your face. But just real quick, to start row 4, you're gonna chain 3, you're gonna turn your work, and skip to the next space, insert 3 double crochet, and at the end of this row, you should put a double crochet in the last stitch. And I'm going to do some work off camera, but if you need to, you can rewind and slow down this part for how to create your hood. But yeah, just repeat these rows until you get to at least 12 inches high. And alternate rows 1 and 2. Okay. Alright, so I finished my rows off camera and I've reached the desired height for my hood. It is about 12 inches because I wanted it to be a little bit more fitted today. And this is adult measurements. Now to close up your hood, you're just going to fold your project in half and we're going to create a seam right at the top. Now you can choose your own preference of method for seaming, but I do prefer to do a single crochet seam for some stretch. I'm going to insert my hook into that last stitch to connect them. Pull my yarn and hook through and chain 1. Now I'm going to use single crochet stitches, but you can also do slip stitches or use a tapestry needle to close up your hood. So inserting my yarn and hook into both of those first stitches, creating a single crochet, and I'm going to repeat this all the way down until the end. Once you get to the end, cut your yarn and fasten off. Feel free to weave in your ends now or wait till the end like I do. We're going to flip our project inside out because we always have our seams on the inside. You should also try on your hood at this point to make sure you don't need to undo your seam and rework more or less rounds for a better fitting. But for the rest of the video, I'm going to show you how to add fringe, pockets, and ears. These are all optional, and you are welcome to stop at any point. But fringe is pretty easy, and I love adding this to the bottom of my scarf. You can make your strands as long as you'd like, but just know that we're going to fold them in half and create a knot. So however long you want your fringe to be, just make sure you know that we're going to fold it in half. So I'm going to cut up about 30 or 40 pieces of string. I normally take about bundles of 4. And I'm going to insert the bundle in between the spaces. Okay, I'm going to fold it in half, pull through, and tighten my knot. So adding fringe is actually pretty easy. It can be tedious. So you're just going to insert, fold it in half, pull through, and tighten your knot. And it really is as easy as that. I'm just going to continue adding this to both my right and left sides of my scarf. You can also add some like fun eyelash and fur yarns to add some texture to your fringe, but I'm just being kind of basic for this video today. And I'm going to repeat for the other side. Okay, and our fringe is done. Now for our pockets today, we're going to make 2 granny squares. If you already know how to do a granny square, you can skip this part, but I'm going to try to slow it down for you. You're going to chain 4. Into that first chain, make a slip stitch to close. And as you can see, it has formed this nice loop for us to work in. You're going to chain 3, counts as your first double crochet. Insert 2 more double crochet into the same loop. This completes our first cluster. You're going to chain 3, insert 3 more double crochet into that loop. That completes our second cluster. Chain 3, 3 more double crochet into the loop. And then one more time, you're going to chain 3 and insert 3 final double crochet into the loop. After that, chain 3 and slip stitch to that beginning double crochet. This is going to close our round. So right at the top of that double crochet, make a slip stitch. We now have 4 corners and 4 sides. You're going to slip stitch a couple more times until you are in that chain 3 corner space. And round 1 is complete for our granny square. So we have 4 clusters and 4 corners. For round 2, you're going to chain 3. This counts as your first double crochet. 2 more double crochet into the same chain space. You're going to chain 3. 3 more double crochet into the same chain space, because we're making increases in our corners. Now in the next chain 3 space, you're going to repeat the same thing. So 3 double crochet into this chain space. Chain 3. And then 3 more double crochet into the chain space. And that's it. We're going to repeat that 2 more times in the remaining 2 corners by inserting 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet. Right into the next chain space. And I will meet you around at the end. Now I am around at the end. Each of my 4 corners has a cluster, chain 3, and a cluster. At the end, you're going to slip stitch the beginning double crochet. Should be the top of that chain 3. That's going to close our round. You're going to slip stitch a couple more times until you are in that chain 3 corner space. Now we are making our pockets as wide as our scarf. Do not make your pocket any wider than your actual scarf. Otherwise, it is not going to sew on properly and it would just be a poor fitting. I think I only need about 1 more round for my own personal pocket. So I will work round 3 with you guys on camera. We're going to do like we did before. We're going to start with a chain 3. 2 more double crochet into the same chain space. Chain 3. 3 more double crochet into the same chain space. Now this time we have to insert a cluster on the side before the next corner. So in this space between clusters, we're going to insert 3 double crochet. So that's a side space. There are no increases. We're just going to insert 3 double crochet into that space. Now when we get back to the chain 3 space, we'll make an increase. So this corner will have 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet. We are only making increases in the corner spaces. On the side spaces, there are no increases. So again, in this space right here, we're going to insert 3 double crochet. And then an increase in the corner. So repeat that all the way around. And I will meet you at the end of round 3. So I am going to be done after round 3 because I've met my desired pocket width. Leave a long tail when you do fasten off so that you can use this to sew it onto your scarf. If you need to add another round, remember you're only doing increases in the corners, and in these spaces on the sides, you're just going to do 3 double crochet. Okay, so I am ready to sew my pocket on, but make yours as wide as you need to fit your personal scarf. And then we're just going to sew it on those 3 sides. So real quick, I'll just show you my own method. I do use a tapestry needle, and there's no right or wrong way to do this. I actually can't stand sewing my pockets. It's such a tedious process, but I try to insert it in every stitch on the side. Leave that top space open so you can actually use your pocket. I've made the mistake before of sewing my pocket on the wrong sides, so don't do as I did. And just like that, you're going to weave your needle in and out on 3 sides. And that is how you sew your pocket on. And once I get to the end, I like to make a really secure knot so that it doesn't come undone, because you don't want your pocket to get unraveled from use. So just make sure you have a good knot at the end. Okay, and once you're done with your first pocket, go ahead and repeat the same process again for your second pocket and sew it on. And if you are interested in adding ears to your hood, I will show you on the next slide how to do that. So I'm going to use a different colored yarn today so you can actually see my stitches, but written down below, I will have a description on the pattern for these ears because it can get a little tedious trying to watch me. But go ahead and start with a chain 3. In the first chain, you're going to insert 4 half double crochet. So yarn over, you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. That's your first half double crochet. Insert 3 more into that same stitch. Now you're going to chain 1 and insert 4 more half double crochet into the same stitch. So we're going to squeeze them all in there. Okay, and that is the first row for our pointed cat ear. Now they're all a little snug, but you should have 4 half double crochet on each side and a chain 1 in the middle. To start row 2, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Into that same stitch, you're going to insert 2 half double crochet. In the next 3 stitches, you're going to insert 1 half double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. This one can get pretty hidden, so just make sure you're counting correctly. Now in that chain 1 space, we're going to squeeze in 1 half double crochet, chain 1, 1 more half double crochet into that space. Okay, now on the opposite side, insert 1 half double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And when you get to that last stitch, insert 2 half double crochet. And this will mirror the opposite side. Okay, so both sides should be even. You should have 6 half double crochet on each side and a chain 1 space in the middle. Now if you want to add another row to your ears to make them wider and taller, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, insert 2 half double crochet into that same stitch, and then 1 half double crochet in the next 5 stitches. Okay, and don't miss that hidden stitch. When you get to your chain 1 space, put 1 half double crochet, chain 1, 1 more half double crochet. Now insert 1 half double crochet in the next 5 stitches. And then once you get to the end, put 2 half double crochet into that last stitch. And just like we did before, for your pockets, you're going to cut your yarn, leave a long tail so you can sew it onto your hood. But you're welcome to add another row if you need, or add a single crochet border with some faux fur yarn. And when I put it on my hood, I normally do it about 2 to 3 inches away from the front of the hood and 2 to 3 inches away from the middle of the hood. So this is really just based on personal preference. Depending on where you put them on your hood, it could either look more like a bear ear or a cat ear. And then you just sew those on, just like you did with your pockets. For the one that I was working on today, I'm actually going to do some pom-poms. And these are kind of a pain to add on because I like it when they're permanent. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see the projects that you guys create. And if you'd like, you can purchase my written pattern below in the description. I definitely appreciate y'all's support so much, and can't wait to make more of these videos.